My name is Adam Williams. I am the Instructional Technology Specialist here at CCC. So I assist faculty with technology, and of course one huge piece of technology that we use here is our learning management system, Canvas. So today I'm going to be showing off the new user interface for Canvas, and then if we have some time left, I'll be going over some of the new features since last year's session. All right. For those who don't know, the Teaching and Learning Center is all about supporting faculty as you work to enhance the learning experience in your courses. So that's all courses. Doesn't matter if it's a face-to-face course, a hybrid course, an online course, or a theoretical course that's in your head that doesn't even exist yet. So it really doesn't matter. The Teaching and Learning Center is for you. Let's take a look at the new UI. I shouldn't have let you all have a sneak peek yet, so here's our new UI. There it is. What do you think? So we've decided to go back to simple. Thank you. All right, now that we got April Fools out of the way. We're back to basics. This is called the hipster UI. All right. New UI. UI stands for user interface. That means the look and feel or the design. When is this going to happen? It's going to happen right at the end of this semester. So May 23rd, the last day or the day after the last day we think that people will need to be using Canvas for spring 2016 things. We're going to go ahead and flip the switch. It'll be pretty much instantaneous. And it'll look like what you're going to see here. Why are we changing? Why is Canvas changing the user interface? Well, they want to make it easier and faster for you to get to what you're looking for. So time is probably one of the biggest challenges that I have learned that faculty experience in their day-to-day work, that there's just so many things to do and not enough time to do it. So some of these things may seem like small changes, but I think as you use Canvas more and more, you'll see that these things are going to add up to significant time savings. And then also the design is going to be more accessible for visually impaired users who use a piece of software called a screen reader to navigate websites. So all of the new design, the new UI, is set up to be easier for those screen reader users to navigate around Canvas. Also, this design will be more responsive, as we were just talking about, for the smaller screen sizes, mobile devices. The design's a little bit more responsive, and we'll see that. I don't really want to overstate these changes. I mean, we're doing an Employee Development Day session. You've probably seen flyers, emails, maybe some social media posts about it, but I don't want anybody to get freaked out. As you will see, there's nothing functionally different about Canvas. You're not going to have to relearn how to use Canvas. The only thing you're going to have to get used to is that some of the buttons when you first log in are going to be in a slightly different location. But overall, I think you're going to find that the new user interface is more intuitive and easier and faster to use. And once you get inside of a course, everything's pretty much going to operate exactly like you're used to. And that's where most of you live and operate anyway, is within a course inside of Canvas. All right, so here we see the login screen. So we took inspiration from the student portal. If any of you have seen the student portal, we wanted students to see something that looked similar and familiar to what they're going to see as they're using the student portal. So we have the same background image and a very similar looking login box here. But otherwise, everything about the login process is the same. You still use your Comet ID. You still use your CCC password, and if you have any issues, you still contact the help desk. All right, let's get inside and see what it looks like.
You know, about that portal,
yes.
Faculty, that's rolling out at the end of the semester? Are we?
I don't know the date on that.
So we'll have the same interface as the students, right? Similar?
You'll have to talk to IT. Okay. I really don't know too much about, I have not been briefed on the faculty portal at all. All right, so let's get logged in.
Adam?
Yes, sir.
Does this interface take you directly into Canvas? Does it omit the intermediate step with the spyglass?
So that used to be the login screen. That thing with the spyglass.
Yeah, right.
So Right. So what you're used to is going to www.coconino.edu and clicking on My Courses and then seeing that magnifying glass. So the only thing that's going to change is instead of seeing that magnifying glass, you're going to see this. So this is the same intermediary step that you're used to.
All right.
So that intermediary step is still there. It just looks like this instead of the magnifying glass. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great. And I lost my opportunity to get my oohs and ahs on camera because you guys all got a sneak peek at the big reveal, but here it is. Thank you. Thank you very much. As you are...
Different than mine. Everybody can change them. I've already changed mine.
I need to change mine.
Yeah.
Every time you get in.
You guys are so far ahead of me. I love it. I love it.
Can we just come on picture instead of the colors?
There's a feature idea for that. You can't right now, but you very likely could be able to in the future. So you're not the only one who's interested in that, and it's already a discussion that's going on inside the Canvas community. Do you get a free Porsche? There's not a feature idea for that yet. But you do get a cup. You want cup or sunglasses? All right. He's not accepting freebies. Complicate his tax return. One thing you'll notice as you're checking all of this out on the test server is this pink bar down at the bottom. You can double click it to make it go away, but it'll come back shortly after that when you go to another page. So it's useful if you need to get it out of the way, say when I want to talk about an icon that it's covering up. But otherwise, it's a good reminder that this is the test installation of Canvas. Nothing you do here will affect your students or affect your courses or anything like that. This is not connected with the normal Canvas that you normally use at all. So feel free to get in here and play around. You can't hurt anything. You can't mess anything up. All right, so on this first page, you're going to be able to see the bulk of the changes with the new UI. So the majority of the changes are right here on this page. You still have your sidebar over here on the right, provided that your screen is wide enough. So you still have the assignments that need grading with a bubble over here telling you how many for this particular assignment, how many submissions you still have to grade. And now, in here, what everybody's noticing are these course cards is what they're referred to. So what you're used to seeing is something that looks a little bit more like that, right? So that is not as useful as your courses, because what you're normally trying to do is get to a specific spot in your course that you need to take some sort of action on. So seeing this activity stream that's kind of small and you got to expand stuff and you can't really see all of the information there anyway was deemed less valuable than these nice big course cards. All right, so on these course cards, they have colors associated with them, but they also have these areas down at the bottom referred to as quick links. So these quick links match up to the parts of your course that you have enabled in course navigation and that have content behind them. So this megaphone looking icon is for announcements. This comment box icon is for discussions. The paper with the A+ on it goes to the assignments area of your course, and this folder icon would go to the files area of your course. The most you'll ever see are these four for right now. So you could quickly jump to your announcements if you needed to get into Canvas and make a new announcement, get in, add it, or check on assignments, check on your discussion posts, or upload or download a file right here. Something else you'll notice about these quick links is this little guy right here. It's called a badge. So you'll also notice it over here as well. So these badges indicate that there's some information there that Canvas doesn't believe you have seen before. So that's a great way to get right into Canvas and go, oh look, there's been a reply to the discussion post. I should go check on that. Or there's been a new announcement. This is even more valuable for your students, I believe. So when you add this content to your course, if you make a new announcement, if you grade one of their pieces of paper, when they log into Canvas, they're going to see these badges over the quick links to let them know that there's been new stuff that they should go check out.
Question.
Yes?
On the card for each of our courses, will there be a quick link for modules?
There's not a quick link for modules right now. However, if you're using modules, you are most likely also disabling those other course navigation links. That's what been my experience, that most people who set up their courses with modules want their students to go in a particular progression through the content, so they wind up disabling things like the assignments page, the pages page, things like that. So you might just have like announcements, and then they would just click anywhere on the card to go to the home page of the course, which probably is set up to guide them right into modules if it's not already the home page, if modules isn't the home page of the course. So I believe that's the rationale behind not having one for modules right now, but I could definitely see value in having it. So,
they do their assignments before they do the reading.
which is exactly why most faculty end up disabling that assignment link from course navigation. And if you disable one of those links from course navigation, the quick link will not show up on your course card. So like over here on this one, this is probably a modular designed course. There are no quick links here on this course card. So this instructor's probably got it set up with modules and has those other things disabled from course navigation. So there aren't quick links here for that. As some of you have already figured out, the course cards can be configured so you can change the color. So if you have a particular color scheme in mind for organization, again, this is back to making it easy and fast for you to get to the places that you're trying to go. So Canvas is trying to do what they can do to make it easier on you, but they realize they can't do it all. So they're giving you some tools to make things easier, such as changing the colors. So maybe you want to make a color scheme for each semester. Maybe you want to make a color scheme for certain subject matters. Another thing you can do is you can give a course a nickname. This can be useful for various reasons. If we look at this first course here, some of you have run into this before. It's a cross-listed course, right? So this name just goes on and on and on and is off the end there. And you could probably simplify that a lot. So you could go in and change the name and just make it Business 103 Personal Finance. Or you could just make it Personal Finance. You could change the color. Since it's about finance, let's make it light green, like $1. There we go. Another case where this may come in handy if you have two courses that are very similar. So we've got a MAT 140 and a MAT 142, and they both start with college MA something. So one of them is college math. One of them is college math with algebra review. I, as the instructor or student, can't tell automatically what this is without keying in on that, is it a 0 or a 2? So it would be great if I could go in and just rename this, call this one College Math, call this one College Math plus Algebra. And just like that, we can give our courses nicknames and change the color of the cards so that they're as easy as possible to recognize and find and click on, so you can get right to where you're trying to go. Yes?
That changes the way the students see it too?
It does not. It only changes the way you see it. Students can give courses their own nicknames and colors. Same thing, you probably do. Another thing you might be wondering about, similar to can we add an image there? That's a very popular feature idea. Another one is the ability to drag and drop and reorder them. So that's another feature idea that is being discussed right now. So not be surprised if somewhere down the road you can drag and drop these course cards and put them in any order you want. Yes?
So only the blue font, that's the nicknaming, that's the only part that students would be able to change?
That's right, yes.
40 section, all that will stay the same?
Yes, all of this would still stay the same. That's particularly useful if they call into the help desk or submit a ticket. We can ask them for a piece of information that they don't have the ability to change and forget that they changed.
Right, okay.
So, yeah. Yes? So, go ahead.
I'm sorry. It was a different question. The circle up on top that you slid across,
Ah, yes.
when you change to the new one, when you slide it across, will it show the other format where it's listed?
That's right. So, yeah, you noticed that. You're very observant. So, if you liked that old activity stream, Canvas hasn't taken it away. They try not to do that sort of stuff. They try to give you options as much as possible. So you can still toggle that up there at the top and get the activity stream back. And if you have that toggled, that'll be what you see when you go to the dashboard or when you log in for the first time every time. So you can go back to the activity stream if that was a vital part of your workflow.
How many of the old or previous classes will still be listed here? Because I can see we get a big long list of past classes, and what's the logic behind the ordering?
I believe the ordering is alphabetical by the course name, the original course name, not the nickname. And to your question about which courses are going to show up here, it's either going to be your active courses or your favorited courses. If you're not familiar with the process of favoriting courses, check out the Start of Semester Resources page in the Resource Center for Faculty. You have the ability to say, I want to see specifically these courses on my dashboard. And you do that by going in and favoriting them. Yes?
You could just click on courses right now.
Yeah, let's just take a peek at that. It was a little bit later but in the presentation. But if you click on courses, you'll see your favorited or active courses. And if you click on all courses right here, you will see the full list. Can you tell from back there that some of these are yellow and some of them are gray? Yeah. So the yellow ones are favorited courses. So as soon as you give a course a yellow star, you designate it as a favorite course. Canvas says, okay, you are now in control of your dashboard. I'm only going to show you the ones that you have added to your list of favorites or given a yellow star. If you've not ever favorited anything, it will look at the start and end date of the course and try and figure out which ones are open right now for you to actually see.
See, mine's a little different than that because I see all my 2015 courses.
And when you go to all courses, are any of them yellow? Nope. So you are in the situation of it's trying to show you active courses, and you're still seeing those as active because faculty have access a year beyond when students have access. Yes.
How long am I going to see?
Right. They'll never completely go away, but after a year after the course ends or the term ends, then they'll disappear from the dashboard. But if you really need to get rid of them, you can go in and just take control over your own dashboard. Your own destiny. It's up to you. Okay, so
Gold star destiny.
So Canvas believes that bringing these links to the forefront, making them big, large, easy to see, colorful, and the first thing you see when you log in is not only going to make it easy, it's going to make it easier for everyone, whether you're blind or sighted, to get where you need to go in Canvas. So imagine just for a second if you couldn't see the screen and you were trying to use a keyboard and you were trying to find that one link you had to get to expand that list of courses so that you could then try and start figuring out which course you were supposed to get to and click on it. It was significantly more difficult for someone using a screen reader to get into a course in the current UI than it will be with this new UI. And if, what's good for them actually is good for everyone else as well. We talked about customization. So, yep, we changed the name, we changed the color. We talked about the activity stream. You can still get to that if you like that. Let me demo real quick the responsiveness that we were talking about. So, I have noticed that in some faculty offices and classrooms, the monitors are not as wide as what we're used to these days and what most web designers build for. So if you have a screen that is narrow, the first thing you're going to notice is that the course cards will collapse down to 2. If we have a large enough screen, the course cards will go up to 3 columns. Then as we get smaller, it'll drop down to 2. And then if our screen size was even smaller, the sidebar will wrap around to the bottom rather than getting pushed off the side of the screen. In the past, it would be pushed off the side of the screen and people didn't even know that it was there. They would never encounter it because they never noticed that scroll bar along the bottom. So now this sidebar will wrap down below. You like that? Good. So while we've got this set up like this, let's talk about global navigation. So global navigation in Canvas is this area right here. It takes you to some of the overarching parts of Canvas that aren't necessarily within a course. And you're used to seeing that along the top of Canvas. And what that meant when it was on the top was that as soon as you scrolled down a page a little bit, it was gone. You couldn't see it anymore, which meant that it took you a little bit longer to mentally figure out, oh, right, I've got to scroll back up. Then you've actually got to go through the process of getting back to the top of the page, and then you've got to find the button you want to click on and click on it. All of that takes way too much time and honestly way too much thought. Now the global navigation's on the left, and what that means is it can stay with you wherever you're at on a page. So if we look at this page here, as we scroll down the page, nothing in global navigation changes. It just hangs out there. It just chills there, waiting for you to need a button to click on. So that means that the help icon is always visible, and all of the other icons as well. So no longer do you have to scroll all the way back to the top of the page to get to your inbox or your calendar, your course list. These are things that if you're inside of a course, you may decide that, oh, real quickly, I need to send out a message. So you don't have to scroll all the way back up, then think about which icon, and it was this tiny little bit of text before. Now it's just right there on the left. It's staring you in the face. You can just tap it or click on it. We talked about badges a little bit. If you have unread messages in your inbox, you're going to have a nice, bright, bold red badge there. One thing you may or may not have noticed about global navigation is there is no longer a link inside of global navigation for grades. Now that this is on the left, Canvas wanted to prevent any confusion from having two links titled grades relatively in the same area, same part of the page. So that global navigation grades link is now in the sidebar. So you'll either see it over to the right or down below depending on where your sidebar is at. Then let's get this back to normal. So yes, view grades is over there on the right in the sidebar. And the grades, that view grades link takes you to an overall course average. Some of you know that, some of you might not know that. So that's showing right here an overall average for so many students. The other grades link is still in the same place in course navigation, so it's wherever you've had it in course navigation. So nothing has changed about that. And it still takes you to your grade book, and it takes students to the page where they can see all grades for all assignments in that one particular course. But they just separated those up a little bit. So if you tried to say, you click on grades on the left, you wouldn't have a bunch of people saying, which grade's on the left? There are two grades on the left.
Hey, Adam.
Yes?
This maybe was off topic from what you were just talking about, but a few minutes ago as you were going through that global navigation, you mentioned inbox with the badge telling you about unread messages. I do most of my communication through email.
That's right.
It forwards to email.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a function, currently I know it doesn't exist, but have you heard discussion of if you're accessing your Canvas inbox via your email, of it converting those messages to read instead of unread? Because right now it's telling me I have 279 unread messages, but they're all read.
Yeah.
I've read them in my email.
No, it doesn't have the capability of knowing what you've read and what you haven't in your email system, and we probably don't want to create that functionality. That'd be a little bit too much nosiness. Right now, Canvas is just going, oh, look, I've got a message, shoot it over there, and it basically sends you an email. And that's something we're comfortable with. Getting inside your mailbox and knowing what you've done inside your mailbox is a little bit more functionality than I think we want the LMS to have. What you can do is go into your inbox in Canvas, and you can do a select all. So on a Windows computer, you do Control-A, and you'll notice the background, they shaded slightly blue. If you're on a Mac, you can do Command-A, so that'll select every message you have here, and then you can just mark them as read. And so that'll get rid of the next time the page is loaded, that will get rid of that unread count for you. Does that work as a temporary solution? Okay. So I would just want to point out the help icon because it's so crucial. There's so much good information inside of here. This used to be located on the top right. It's now on the opposite side of the screen. It's a bigger icon, and that's better. I don't like that they've got it down, a line down at the bottom of this global navigation bar. So I will continue to advocate for them to move that help link up higher in global navigation. But just be aware that that's where it is. If you have any documentation in your courses that tell students how to find the help link, you may want to review that and see if you need to reword it a little bit. If you've got screenshots, you may need to take a new screenshot or something like that. Any question about the help icon, global navigation, dashboard? Okay, moving right along. Let's go inside a course. Math 142. All right, so here we are inside of a course, and as you can see, there's not really that much that's different. Sidebar's still over here on the right. The content area is still here in the middle. Course navigation is still over here on the left. About the only thing different you're going to notice about course navigation is that it blends into the page a little bit better, and that the active page or area of the course stands out a little bit more. Let's see. On the responsiveness side of things, there's now a button for collapsing course navigation. If you or your students want a bit more room to view the content on the page, let's say you have a nice big video or PDF or image or something like that on your page, and students are on a slightly smaller screen, you see these three horizontal lines right up here. If you click on those, boom, page just gets bigger. Course navigation collapses down. It can be expanded by clicking those buttons again. But don't worry, it's expanded each time a page loads. So you don't have to worry about your students collapsing course navigation and then completely forgetting about the fact that they collapsed it. So as soon as this page is reloaded or you go to another page, you'll notice that course navigation pops right back out. So it's just kind of a temporary get this out of my way for right now thing. It comes right back out. All right, so there's really nothing different about the way your course is going to function. You still go to the same places, click on the same links, and everything is still pretty much in the same places you're used to seeing it. So if we go look at modules, it's exactly what you're used to seeing as far as modules go. The main button color has changed to green. We wanted it to stand out a little bit, and we didn't want to just keep using teal everywhere. So we wanted that button. It's the button that you have to press to save a page or things like that, add new assignments or modules. We wanted that to stand out and be easy to see. So the best color we could find within our CCC color palette was this nice forest green here. So that's going to be the color for most buttons that you'll be pushing. So we took a look at the inbox. It still looks pretty much the same. If we go look at a calendar, calendar still looks pretty much the same. Notice that the color codes for these events on the calendar match up to whatever your course card is. So if you change your course card to a certain color, all of the events on your calendar will change to that color as well, so that you can keep that color scheme going for your organization. One other thing inside of a course, there is, let's go to here. So this thing along the top is called the breadcrumb menu, up there at the very, very top. It's the breadcrumb menu. They've enlarged the font there. This can be an easier way to get to the area of the course that you're looking for rather than course navigation. So if you're looking at a particular thing right in front of you, you can tell what it is and where it's from. So we can see right up here, this is a video file and it's in the files section of the course. If I wanted to get to the files area of the course to delete the video or change something about the video, then I could just click on files right there. If I click on the nickname that I've given the course, it takes me back to the home page. So breadcrumb menu is a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to use. All right. Believe it or not, that's pretty much all there is to it with the new UI. So we got some time left, so we'll go over some of the new features. But are there any other questions about the new UI or just anything else you'd like to talk about before we move into features? Yes.
So are those boxes up there something that was personally made by
These here?
a picture with a link? Yeah.
Yes. So the way the instructor did this was she created an image file. You can use a website like Da Button Factory, dabuttonfactory.com, and make your own buttons. So it's a website specifically set up for making images that look like buttons. So you can make those images, save them, upload them to your course, then add them to a page. Then you just make that image a link, and there you go. You've got a button.
Oh, I like that. It's faster. Much faster.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Adam, could we go back to that dashboard in which the color-coded course cards appear?
Yes, sir.
And, okay, there was, previously you showed a screen and dashboard where the little gear, okay, I call that a gear headgear, was surrounded by a white perimeter in the shape of a square. What is that?
That was, I believe that would have been inside of a course. Let's see if I can find an example of that. So here's, there was one. So like this right here.
Well, yeah, the gear in the center of sort of like just the outline of a square in white.
Well, so this, whenever you see this right here, it's going to be the settings for something. So in this, it's all based on context. Where that icon is indicates what it does, what you're going to see when you click on it. So in this context, this is a module. So this would be the settings for that module. If you were, say, on a page, you would see a very similar looking icon right up here. That would be the settings for this page.
Okay.
You'll see them around assignments all over the place. So they do different things in different places, but in general it just means it's the setting for a particular piece of content in Canvas. All right? Any other questions before we move into features? Nope? All right. So the first feature I want to talk about is inactive or deactivated users. I say or because as of this semester they're called inactive users. In the near future it's going to be renamed to deactivated deactivated users, just for consistency with the way Canvas is naming things. So don't let that throw you. Inactive, deactivated, it's the same thing. For those of you who don't know, we used to completely remove a user from your Canvas course when you dropped them. And this semester we implemented a new feature from Canvas called inactive users. And what that means is that we are able to change the status of the user so that they can no longer see the course, which is what we need for registration and financial aid, but that faculty and administration and support can still see that user inside of the course, just flagged as inactive right now. And what that means is that we can see all the information, the analytics about that user inside the course, the grade information about that user inside the course, any attendance information, and anything else related to that student and that course, we still have access to for any reason. And there are various reasons why we need to get our hands on that information. And this just makes it a lot easier for us to do that, and also accomplishes what we need on the student side, which is for them to basically not have any access to the course. So one problem this has caused this semester is an overloaded gradebook. So they're showing up in the gradebook right now. If you don't already know, there's a temporary solution to resolve that. There is, if we go inside, don't look.
Do we have to go in our...
All right, so if in the gradebook settings, you can turn on Show Concluded Enrollments, and that will hide inactive students. Now this is kind of a temporary solution while Canvas is working on something else. Thanks to very quick, prompt feedback from our faculty here at CCC, I was able to make a feature request inside the Canvas community that has already received enough votes and moved into the under consideration, soon to be in development stage within 2 months. So within 2 months of, the first week of the semester, you guys had helped give me the information I needed to post that idea, and it was well supported by the community, and so very soon we should have a better solution for hiding inactive students from your gradebook. But right now you can do it by turning on this Show Concluded Enrollments feature.
Does concluded enrollments mean their paperwork is in order and they pay their tuition?
No, Show Concluded Enrollments is for a feature that we don't actually use here at CCC. That feature just happens to have the side effect of hiding inactive users. So that's why we're using it for our purposes, to hide inactive students from your gradebook. It was intended for another purpose. It just happens to have a side effect of something that we need. So this is a temporary solution until Canvas gets an official solution in place for displaying only active students in the gradebook.
Does inactive students mean they haven't been doing the assignments or haven't been attending?
Inactive means they've been officially dropped within registration. So it is entirely tied to things that happen within our student information system. Which brings up another good point. This semester, we were handling all drops. So no matter the type of drop that happened, if they were dropped, we flagged them as inactive. Through talking with faculty and registration and other members at the college, it was determined that we could limit that way down so that the number of inactive or deactivated students in your course is much smaller. So that mitigates the problem to some degree, and also gives us a better idea of, okay, we only need information about students that the faculty actually initiate the drop for. In most cases where the student is dropping themselves or they're getting dropped for, say, a no-show, then we don't actually need to access any information about them later on down the road. So we're going to refine the drop codes, which are what they're called inside a banner, our student information system. We're going to refine the drop codes that we use to implement this on. So we're going to kind of move to a best of both worlds, where we're actually deleting people for most things, but in a few special cases, we're using the inactive enrollments feature. So that's inactive/deactivated users. The link validator. How many of you have used the link validator this semester? One. We got one. You guys are missing out. So how many people have ever received an email or a phone call or had a student say, I couldn't find such and such didn't work for me, or I got a broken link report or something like that? Only one? Come on. Okay. All right. So now if you go into the course settings, over on the right, you're going to see a button that says Validate Links in Content. If you click on that button, and then click on the Start Link Validation, it's going to run through every single link in your course and test to make sure that it works, first of all. And if it doesn't, it'll tell you. It's going to see if it goes to somewhere inside of your course or if it goes to another course. If it goes to another course, it's also going to alert you. Because as you copy content from one semester to the next, it's real easy to forget that you had a link to a piece of content in a specific course that your new students this semester are not going to have any access to. So it'll warn you about those, and it'll also warn you about links to unpublished content, which is another very common, easy to make mistake. I created this content, I worked all day on it, I finished it, I saved it, I sent out the message to students, and then 10 minutes later students are mass emailing me, I can't find it, where is it, what are you talking about? You just forgot to publish it. So it'll warn you about links to things that are unpublished as well. See if we have one of those. We don't have any unpublished right here. But you can see, so we've got some links somewhere in this course to some files that have been deleted. We've got a link here to a different course. If you click on this blue text here, it'll take you exactly to the place in Canvas where it found that link. So it makes it real easy for you to see what's going on inside your course, see if you're likely to have any, if your students are likely to have any issues, and then makes it real easy for you to jump right to the spot that you need to be to get in there and fix it. This works real well as far as the publishing thing. You probably have already noticed another new feature is the Save and Publish button. So no longer do you have to save, wait, find a different button, click it. It's just save and publish all at once. You're done? I'm done. Okay, how many of you knew you could excuse an assignment inside Canvas officially? 1, 2. It's as easy as putting EX in the gradebook. So if we go, let's see what that looks like for you. And so what excuse means is do not factor the points for this assignment into this student's overall grade calculation. So just treat it like this student, just treat it like they don't have to do it at all. So you click inside your grade book and you literally just put in the two letters E and X and hit enter, and you get this nice shading going on right here. And if you were to look over on the total column at the total points this student's grade is being calculated on, you'll notice that it's different than other students. So it's that easy to just excuse an assignment. So it's an official feature now. That's all you have to do. They're working on some gradebook improvements, so I know it's a little bit weird that you have to remember a 2-letter code to put in the gradebook. It's kind of like a hidden cheat code on a video game. As they make these gradebook improvements, I would not be surprised if we see a graphical way to choose, whether it's excused or not. But for now, it's just 2-letter code. You just have to remember it. Put an EX into the gradebook.
Now, would this have to do with excusing one particular or a couple particular students, not the whole class?
Well, if you're going to excuse the whole class, you might as well just unpublish the assignment.
Okay. But this has to do with some kind of discretion
Sure.
by the instructor?
So a good example of, let's say a student joins the course late, and you don't feel it's necessary for them to complete all of the work that they missed, but you don't want them to be penalized for it either, then you can go in and excuse them from those first few assignments, so that they're neither rewarded nor penalized for that.
And then their grade will be figured out proportionally on a different base,
That's right.
on a smaller base.
That's right. Do you have a question?
Not what you were talking about, but you are in the grade book, so I have another question for you.
Shoot.
In case you've seen this come up in the community. If you got the grade book open, you're mousing around in the grade book, and whatever column you move your pointer over, it highlights the column heading. It'd be nice, I think, if it also highlighted the row headings.
So in here?
But it doesn't.
So the whole row all the way across.
No,
Oh, just the row,
Like,
okay.
move around within the cells.
Yeah.
See how it highlights the column headings? Even if you had your pointer down below, move over to the right. It is specific. So just mouse over a cell in the
Oh, I
It
see,
highlights
yeah.
the column heading, but it doesn't.
Yes.
Big grade book, that's a lot. That's
I know
really handy.
that can fake you out
Yeah,
when you
the
don't
blue
have
and
to highlight
white
over
lines help, but it's.
They help only a little bit, and on my laptop screen, I can help tell the difference.
That's a great feature idea, and if I remember, I will definitely make it. But I'll let you guys in on a secret about the community. You can all go make feature ideas too. There's nothing stopping you. You've got the same power as I do in that Canvas community. You have the power. You may not have the time, but you have the power. So don't let anything stop you from getting into that Canvas community, asking questions, answering questions, making feature ideas, commenting on feature ideas, and adding your 2 cents. That Canvas community is for everybody, and everybody's equal out there. All right. So let's say that you didn't want to excuse them from an assignment. You just wanted them to be able to turn it in late. You set up the assignment to be turned in online. You set up a lock date so that people couldn't turn it in late. But this one person comes to you and they actually have a good excuse to turn it in late, and you'd like to allow them to turn it in late. But you don't want to go change the assignment and give other students the opportunity to sneak one past you and turn it in late as well. Well, now you can set up a different set of dates for a single student or a group of students. That is called differentiated assignments. So let's go look at how that works inside of Canvas. So if you edit this assignment, down near the bottom is where you put in your 3 sets of dates. So you've got the due. That's when it's going to show up on the syllabus, calendar, coming up feed, to do feed. It's also when Canvas, if you're allowing late work, it's when Canvas is going to start shading it red and indicating to you that it was turned in past the due date. That's what that date is for. Available from, so if it's going to be turned in online, you can say, I don't want students to be able to turn it in online until a certain time and date. That's what available from does. And then until date is when it shuts off the online submission functionality. So we're working under the impression that this has been set up. So you first created it for everyone, so it's assigned to everyone. You gave it a due date, an available from date, and a lock date. And then everybody, well, not everybody. Apparently we got one person who got hit by a car, was in the hospital. But everybody else had, one set of dates, but you need to give this one person an extension. So down here on the bottom, you'll see add. Can everybody see that? If you click on that, you get a whole other box for assigned to. So you can just look through your course list. It does have a limit on how many names it can show here, so if you don't see the name you're looking for, you can just start typing it in. Choose that student. And when you choose somebody else, notice what happened up here. Now everyone else. It's not everyone anymore, now it's everyone else. So you got a set of the 3 sets of dates for this one person and another set of dates for everyone else. And you can do that as many times as you like. Yes?
You can put multiple individual students.
You can.
You can also make a separate one for each.
Yeah, so you can click right here and pick another one.
Okay.
So differentiated assignments. It's a Swiss Army knife for all sorts of problems you might encounter.
Does until include the last date in which you can turn the assignment in?
Does until include the last date? Yes.
Okay, it does. All right.
So that's exactly what it is. The until date is the last date. That is the last day and time that it can be submitted.
Okay.
Right.
I've always, in my syllabi, I've always said through, T-H-R-O-U-G-H.
Right, yeah, just a slightly different phraseology there. You had another one? Doug? Go.
You said, I think a few minutes ago, that when you put in those available dates, that dictates when students can submit.
That's right.
I thought it also was when they can even see the assignment. Yeah. After the available.
When they can see the details of the assignment.
They can see the assignment.
They can see that it exists, they can see when it's due, but they can't see the details. So whatever you put in that description box is also hidden until that time. Correct. Good point. And yeah, it's a conversation. So, this is the way I like to operate. All right. How many of you have ever wondered, are they even really reading my comments? If you're leaving a comment on an assignment, like, are they even really reading this?
Back and forth with comments.
Well, now you can actually see in SpeedGrader, if you've left a comment, it will indicate student viewed comment at such and such time. So I don't have a good demo of that right here, but you should notice it if you're in SpeedGrader and you've left a comment. And if you ever have any questions, we can take a look at it. And in a live course in production, it's probably going to be easier to find an example of that than it was here on this test server.
Just out of curiosity, have you had any students that have had problems with emails being delivered?
Not that I've heard. Emails being delivered from Canvas, I assume is what you mean. I've heard that once or twice from a faculty member, and we were never able to reproduce it. So I would say that the first things to check would be just to make sure that Canvas is set up to send it to the email they're expecting, and then make sure that your email client isn't somehow marking it as spam, so it's not getting filtered out of your inbox in some way. But then beyond that, submit a ticket. If you ever hear of that, recommend that somebody submits a ticket, and we will look into it right away. Two last quick ones. If you've ever used conferences inside of Canvas, you can now create polls in your conference. So if you're doing a conference online and your students have joined in, you can create a poll and let your students, the participants in the conference, answer the poll. And you can also now create recurring calendar events. So if you've got, office hours and it's the same time every week, you can create one event and make it recurring. You do have to turn on a setting in course settings first, so you won't see it right there the first time. So you go to settings and turn on that feature option. But then when you go create an event in your calendar, you do have the option to make it recurring. And with that, my time is up. Thank you all for coming.